What is up, Everyday Athlete Podcast Network listeners? Thanks for joining me for this next episode of the Fireside Chat. I have a returning guest, not to the Fireside Chat, but to the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network, Julianna Coughlin, who is the host of the Runnah Podcast, is going to be joining me. Before I bring her on, just a handful of announcements. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. If you're using Spotify or YouTube, please leave us a comment. I love reading your thoughts and your ideas and love interacting with you guys. And so I want to make the show as great as it can be for you. So leave us those comments. It really does help. And yeah, it helps with the algorithm and people will see us more, and that's all good stuff. But I really just enjoy commenting with you. Another news, we will be hosting a form swim giveaway for the month of March. With that, we're also going to be including some products from Blue 70 and some samples from SBR Sports. So for you triathletes and for you runners who have triathlete friends and family, make sure you check out that giveaway. That'll be on the Run Try Bike social media platforms everywhere you go. And then lastly, don't forget that the Everyday Athlete Clubhouse is still accepting members. It is a relatively inexpensive club to join, $15 for a year, $25 for a lifetime, and the benefits start immediately. And I did say lifetime. I should have said lifetime, but lifetime works for our platform also. But $25 per year, and the benefits start immediately, as we'll get you a welcome box plus all the discounts that we have with our marketing partners. So enough of me yammering on. Let's bring Julianna on and let's have a great time. My friend, how are you?
Hello. I will also double down that like leaving comments for YouTube videos and Spotify is like one of the small joys in life of like having a podcast or like a YouTube channel. I answered one this morning and I was like, this is so nice. I love responding to people's comments.
Right? It is. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like this idea like, oh, somebody listened and it was intriguing enough for them to take time to comment. But I love getting comments on our podcasts on either Spotify or YouTube.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of feel like you're talking out into the void, having like a YouTube channel or a podcast. And then that like one person, like even this morning, I got an email from someone, which doesn't happen that often.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, someone is listening. Oh, that's so nice.
I will say this. So Garrett Graubens, thank you so much. He sent me an email late last week and he said, I just want you to know, I know sometimes to use what you said, Julianna, he said as well, yours feels like you're speaking into the void. But my wife was listening to a podcast the other day, and I asked her what she was listening to, and she said it was some dude who's got a funny last name and a guy who is a recovering alcoholic, which is our co-host, Joe Harden. And he's like, so just know that people are listening, and the fact that it was my wife who's not into endurance sports was doing it. So like you get those kind of things, and it's super uplifting.
Yeah, it's so nice too. And it is funny too when you come across those people who they just found you like haphazardly and they're like, I just like the sound of this person's voice, or I just like listening to them talk. And they're not really into whatever the podcast is about, but they're just like, they like your personality. So that's, I feel like that's one of the highest compliments you can get, honestly.
100%. One of the things that we're trying to do, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this because you obviously run a running podcast as well, is I believe that we are people who run, we aren't runners who people. And so I want to talk to people about all of the things that they're doing, because I could go to your Instagram account and see, or your Strava account and see how far you ran and how fast you ran it in, right? I want to know more about you. And so when you're hosting your show, like what's the mindset? Are you like, I want to get really deep into the weeds about their running? Or are you like, the running is cool, but tell me about how much you love horror films or, apple pie.
I'm definitely a runner who peoples. Like I'm a people runner. Like I love talking to people. And for me, I am kind of just there to hear. Largely, we're focused kind of on what they like something to do with running, but it's more the personal side of things.
Yeah.
I can probably count on my hand the number of episodes that I've done that have been like purely informational when it comes to like running related things. And I can't count the number of episodes on my hand that have just gone off the rails and we've talked about like whatever we want to talk about.
Yes.
And those are honestly the ones where, like, one of the most popular episodes I have is my friend Lindsay, who is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And she talked about like running Boston after getting her breast cancer diagnosis, but it was largely just about her whole journey with that. And that's those popular episodes, to be honest. It just because it's relatable and she's a person.
Right. I would find that fascinating. The episode that we just published today was Santino and I talking about sports. And I mean baseball, basketball, like professional sports at that level. And 0 words were discussed when it comes to running. Literally 0. We just went off the rails on everything. And it was such a great conversation. I've listened, I listened to it again today. I listened to it while we were uploading it and stuff like that. And I was like, this is a really good conversation.
Yeah. Sometimes like it's those unplanned conversations that you have, or like some of my favorite episodes that I've done have been with people that like they were recommended to me. Like I'm thinking specifically, the most recent one was Jim from the Boston Bulldogs, which is a alcohol recovery group / like Red General recovery running group that does a lot of wonderful things up here in Boston. But I had only met Jim through someone else and like I didn't really know his whole shtick. But someone had recommended him to me, and he showed up at our Falmouth Running Club office and did the interview with me. And we just like clicked immediately. And we're talking about like books and like all these other things. And like he talked about running, but like just he and I vibing together. And this is great. Like, and that's the thing that really conveys across in whatever format, like audiovisual format you're using. If you have a good chemistry with that person, people are going to really want to listen to that, because that's going to be a much better conversation than someone who like you don't like. They might have something like really informational and great about running or whatever sport it is to talk about. But if you don't have good chemistry with them, it's not really good. And they don't really want to talk that much too. That's also the other thing too. I know you and I have both come across people who are unlike you and I, say less words more than not. But it definitely, the chemistry is a big thing. And I totally agree that whatever the topic isn't necessarily the important thing. It's about who the people are and if they're jiving.
I try to think of it in 2 ways. One, we're either at a coffee shop hanging out, chit-chatting, or we are actually on a run. Because when I've run in running groups, like we don't say every other word is not like we're at an 8:02 pace, we're at an 8:09 pace, we're at an 8:50.
Those are words that never come out of my
we don't do that.
Really never check my watch.
Right. And so I want, when somebody's listening to our podcast, if they're actually are running, to have it feel like they're in the middle of the conversation with a run club, and it's just stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's a great attitude to have too, because that's kind of how I feel the same way, either like a running conversation or just like a casual conversation with friends, because especially with the running conversation, that's a community / like a space where there are no rules. Like you are largely like looking ahead and you don't even have to look that person in the eye. And the number of like weird things I've said to people, like when I'm running with them, is unnumbered. I mean, I say weird things anyway, but like, it's just, it goes off the rails pretty quickly. And I know I'm not the only one that's a kind of a rule for them too. And I think just like giving people the space to like feel accepted and say whatever they need to say, I think it's a really valuable thing.
100%. Now, I normally have 2 questions that we start out with, but you jumped the gun on me and jumped right into Spotify comments, which I love. So I'm gonna press the rewind button and get into my typical first conversation, which is an icebreaker. You don't need, but I'm gonna ask anyway.
I love
pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Oh, that's a yay for me. My second favorite pizza is Hawaiian pizza. First favorite is peppers and onions. That's always a banger.
Now, is the pineapple on pizza, does it have to have like ham or bacon or sausage or jalapenos, or can you go straight actual pineapple and nothing else?
I feel like I need the ham, to be honest, or like some other kind of like savory element. I feel like the cheese and the pineapple is not quite enough for me. I need like a little bit more salt. I am also someone who like really like loves salt too. Like I'll just like eat straight. Like the number of marathons that I've run where I've just like downed salt packets because they have them, or like I'm sipping on pickle juice. Not okay.
So you just opened the door. This a recent phenomenon I've been privy to or have been shown is dill pickle pizza. It's a white pizza with dill pickle. Oh, that face tells me you had not heard about this before.
No, but that doesn't seem like too far out of the realm of, I mean, I've seen like hamburger pizzas. I've seen like whole like whatever's on pizzas. Like, you name it, it's been on a pizza.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't be too surprised, but I am quite a lover of pickles. Like, me and pickles are like best buds. So.
I haven't had this yet, but I think I could get behind pickle on white pizza. I can't get behind pineapple on pizza. It's not a thing for me. But the pickle on pizza, I think I can get behind. I have to give it a try.
That. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, honestly. I think
pesto.
Yeah, why not? I mean, the only thing that I haven't tried that's like a pickle combination is that like pickles and peanut butter that people do sometimes. That feels a little bit like out of my wheelhouse. I like them both separately, but together I'm like, I don't know about that one. Like pickles and potato chips, yeah, like pickles and like other things. Like, honestly, like pickles, like they go with a lot of things, but I don't know. I also haven't tried those like Kool-Aid pickles. That feels like a little bit like not. Though I like the sweet pickles, like the regular sweet pickles.
Yes,
like,
yes.
But so I might like the Kool-Aid pickles, but I don't know. The red pickle thing kind of like makes me a little bit like, it reminds me of that like purple and like blue ketchup we had as kids that Heinz made for a minute there. Where I was just like,
no. All right. So here's a little bit more of a serious question that can lead us to multiple other questions, I think.
Okay.
Who is Julianna Coughlin?
Who is? Oh, that would be me. Hi. Julianna Coughlin is, currently injured, unfortunately, so not currently running extensively. We've worked up to like a mile so far, so that's good. But I'm someone who is very passionate about running, very passionate about like a lot of different things. I did a lot of musical theater when I was in high school. It's very common when I am running to find me outside running and singing at the same time. That is I imagine once I get back out there, I'll have people yelling at me, because the Falmouth running community is we're a very outside community. As soon as the weather gets like remotely nice, like everyone is outside running, walking, biking. And we have what I like to call bike path regulars. And I have a feeling my bike path regulars are going to be like, we missed you, like once I get back. Because I'm very loud, but in a good way, like I'm gone, but I love to sing. I also have a dog named Myrtle. My past life was being a dietitian. Currently, I'm kind of doing that, like part-time, mostly working one-on-one with my buddy Daniel, who has developmental challenges, and doing social media for multiple different organizations. And one of those organizations is the Cape Cod Marathon, which is, I believe, the best small marathon or mid-sized marathon on the East Coast, if you're asking me. But I am very passionate about that too. I also announce our race, and I do our social media, and most of the tech stuff I end up doing. We have a pretty small team. It's me, Kathy, and Jack. But we have about around like 5,000 runners for the weekend. So it's a pretty decently sized, like smaller marathon. And we usually sell out. So
is it all 5,000 running a marathon, or are there other distances that encompass the 5,000?
No, that's a great question though. So it's a whole weekend of events. It happens Indigenous Peoples Day weekend. So the first day is going to be Saturday, which is the half marathon, which is our most popular distance. And it's just the half marathon, slash kind of the Chowder and Lobster Challenge, because the Chowder Challenge is half marathon Saturday, full marathon Sunday. The Lobster Challenge, which you just added this past year, is the half marathon on Saturday and the 5K on Sunday. Okay. But we have around like 2,200 half marathon runners on the Saturday. And then moving into the Sunday, we have like a little, including the kids race, like probably rounding that out at about 2,800 probably, give or take, on that day between the kids race, the 5K, the marathon relay, again, the Lobster and the Chowder Challenge, and also the full marathon. And then we have the kids race. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. By the way, you just did something that you didn't know you did, which was add another check mark into our Everyday Athlete Podcast Network Wrapped at the end of this year for That's a Great Question. Our whole goal has been to try to get our guest in every interview, every podcast conversation to say that's a great question, or show some sort of emotion. So thank you. We've accomplished that now.
Oh, well, the emotion side of things would not be hard for me. I have a very expressive face and a very expressive voice because, just being me, and also like doing a lot of theater.
Yeah.
So that just kind of comes with the realm over there. But I'm glad that I'm able to check that off. That's a great thing.
Tell me what makes the Cape Cod Marathon so awesome. And before you go on, I'll tell you why I'm asking the question. So
Okay.
we here at Run, Try, Bike, and the Everyday Athlete Clubhouse have a run club tour for this year. And so we're going to be visiting 6 different cities in over the course of 7 months, doing 6 races. And we're starting in 3 weeks at the Oakland Marathon. And then we'll be at the Pittsburgh Marathon. We'll be at the Salt Lake City Foothills half marathon trail race. We'll be at San Francisco Marathon, Beat the Blurch in Seattle, and then ending at Hustle in the Heartland in Lebanon. And so the idea is that next year we'll have some of our members attend those same races that we're at this year, and then we'll go to other races. So we're soliciting sales pitches on why we should go to a particular event.
Oh, well, you're talking to the perfect person then. I am the Cape Cod Marathon's #1 fangirl, which is appropriate because I do our social media, so I should be. But I would say that there are many reasons you should come run the Cape Cod Marathon. The first one is, and I think this is the biggest reason, you get adopted into a family when you come and run with us. Like everyone here who runs with us, like I would say we have the best volunteers, and you can fight me over this. For many reasons. One, because the entire town comes out and volunteers. Like this is a race where you really feel the local charm of Falmouth, Massachusetts, and you feel like you're getting a warm hug by every single volunteer, staff member, anyone who's out on the course, because the entire town comes out to greet you. Like literally, we have every single sports team in town, like manning a water station at the finish line. We have, and anyone who is like not like volunteering, Falmouth is a running, walking town. Like everyone knows that this marathon is happening. So if their house is on the course, you better bet your butt that those people are cheering for you. For a smaller race, like we have awesome crowd support. So you come and you run with us, you officially get like warm hug, volunteer, like love, everything. Everyone is here to welcome you into their arms. And we try and make this race like as user-friendly as physically possible. Like I do a video every year breaking down our runner manual. We have a like fully written runner's manual. It comes out as a podcast as well too. So if you prefer audio only, visuals, reading, whatever your format of like adaptability when it comes to absorbing the information, we have that for you. And it's just, we have so much fun. We have so many things that we do during race weekend. And everyone is just so passionate about running in our town that you just can't help but get absorbed into it. And I like to think that like me being at the starting and finish line is also part of that. I've been dubbed the master of vibes instead of the MC, I'm the MV. But just because I keep the energy up at the start finish line every year, but I always tell people too, is that the energy that I'm putting out is just the energy that the volunteers and the runners are giving to me. And I'm just like re-amplifying it back out into them. We want to make sure everyone feels welcome, heard, seen, and that no one feels like there's any information that they're missing, and that everyone just has a lot of fun, and that all they have to worry about is running. And you get to take in those beautiful coastlines. Most of the race is right along the coastline. You go up the coastline to Nobska Light, which is the lighthouse that's in Falmouth. And then you come back around towards the coastline and you see it a bunch of different times from a bunch of different angles. And it's just, cool. In my personal opinion, it's very gorgeous, and I'm very extremely biased.
Is it a quasi out and back, or is it like a loop kind of thing?
It's kind of like 2 or 3 out, and it's like it's like 2 big out and backs. Like you kind of, you meet the beach and then you go one way and you go to the lighthouse and then you come back to that same spot and then go out another way to a different beach. And then you come back and you finish at Mullenhall School, which is where our start finish line area is, which has been working out really great for us. And like the community at Mullenhall, which is one of the elementary schools around here, has really like absorbed us and like welcomed us in. I'm actually interviewing the vice principal, two of the staff members on my podcast. I'm interviewing them this Friday about how much like having the marathon at their school has enhanced the students' And we've actually introduced we have a mascot now for the kids race. Because the Mullenhall's kids wanted a mascot, so we have this like costume of a starfish that we let them name, and they named it Dottie. So like they've really been involved with, and they write signs and they put them on the windows of the school because you can see the front of the school from the start finish line area, and a lot of them come and run the kids race too.
What's the post race food scene look like? So we finished the race. Not necessarily at the race, but where are we going to eat afterwards? Recovery meals and all that good stuff.
So let's talk about like what's at the race first, and then we'll kind of go from there, because we pride ourselves in what we offer to the runners after the race. We have homemade apple cider donuts that come from Jack and the Beanstalk down the street.
Okay.
And also we have at least 5 kinds of soup, including 2 types of New England chowder, a clam chowder and usually a corn chowder. Then we usually have a vegan option, a vegetarian option, and then there's usually one other option that Stephen Bird makes for us. He's the chef at one of the local, actually 2 of the local restaurants, the Quarterdeck, which is one of the restaurants down on Main Street. But we have all of that. Plus, like, your standard bananas, apples, things like that. Our buddy Ed gets all the bananas for us from Shaw's. But we really like the number of times I get asked every year, will there be apple cider donuts this year? That's usually the number one question. And the answer is always yes.
That's a pretty big order to put into a bakery or wherever you're getting it from. I mean, a minimum of 5,000, I'm guessing.
I would guess probably more like upwards, because we usually have leftovers and almost everyone takes one. So I would say upwards of like 7, 8, 9,000.
Amazing.
Yeah, and Jack and the Beanstalk is a pretty small it's a farm stand that has like a bakery too. And it's just, they only have it's just one location in Falmouth. So we like, I don't know when our admin Kathy puts in the order, but I'm assuming at this point, because
now, today,
I think she probably did it like the day after
exactly.
The 2025 one, so they can start like prepping to bake that many apple cider donuts for us.
I mean, that's amazing. Like 7,000, 8,000 donuts from a singular farm stand basically is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we try and use as many like locally sourced things as we can. We're also a very like eco-conscious race too. Like we're a fully cupless race. Anything that we're using is fully compostable. We don't have like water bottles or anything. We have this thing called a water monster that looks like a giant silo that just has all the spigots around it. Yep. We have one of those, and we have composting bins at our race as well too. We've been working with a composting company for years now, just because we love the community. Like all 3 of us who are in charge of the race and anyone who works at the race, we all live in this community, and we all really love the beach and want to keep it beautiful.
Were you born and raised in Falmouth?
I was not. No, I'm a transplant. So I moved here for a job in 2017. So almost
fell in love with it. And
once you get the beach, you're not giving it back.
Yeah. So were you running prior to moving there? Were you already a runner prior to moving to the area?
I was. I started running in 2011, which was my last year of high school. The legend goes that my best friend Lydia at the time, who she's my only person from high school that I actually still talk to. She just visited the other day, actually. We've known each other since like 4th grade, and we literally grew up together. But she was like, Julianna, wouldn't it be crazy if we ran a mile every day after school? I'd be like, Lydia, that would be insane. And so we did it. And then my mom actually got interested, and she saw us running, and we did the Couch to 5K program. And then I kind of just like naturally progressed. I ran in college just to stay in shape. And then when I actually moved to Richmond, Virginia for a little bit, and that's where I ran my first 10K and also my first half marathon. And that was after college. I ran the Richmond half marathon, which is a fabulous race. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then I moved up here after that. And I remember the first race, because again, like Falmouth is a very much so like running, walking town. So we have like 5 or 6, I think it's 5, like races in the spring that are like our smaller local races. And then the Cape Cod Marathon's in the fall. And that's like our big, like premier race. But I remember the first race I did, which is actually the longest standing race in Falmouth history. It's older than the Falmouth Road race, is the Seagull 6. which is actually like 5.7 miles, not actually 6 miles. But I ran this race, and this is the race that every year I announce it now, but every year we show up and the weather is always like absolute shit. And it's right on the coastline. And so it's the only race where you can run, and it's just a circle. It's really hilly. And usually you go through like 5 different weather pockets. So like the number of times that I've run that race where it's like snowed and then rained and then it's been sunny in the course of less than 6 miles. You're not even out there like a full hour.
I bet you it probably still sells out too, despite all the crappy weather, because people want the stories.
Oh yeah. You better bet. It's very fast race because we have a lot of speedy runners in Falmouth. And so people who are training for Boston and like running times, like they want a time for Boston, they use it as a tune-up. So I think the course record is like around like somewhere 30, 25 minutes, somewhere in that frame of reference. Like it's
flying.
At this point, we actually have some Olympians who live in town.
Okay.
Ben Flanagan lives in town, and then the Gardner kids are pretty much Olympians at this point. They're going to be going to the Olympics. And they're training with him too. They're up to his level. So we have some like very like high level speedy people who live in town. But yeah, it's the smallest, most highly competitive race you can run. And I remember running it. That was my first race when I moved to Falmouth. And I was like, this sucks. This is terrible.
Let's do it again.
Yeah. And then I signed up for the next race. I remember having an awful experience and being like, I'm doing it again. I can't let that beat me.
So you moved there in 2017. How did you find the Cape Cod Marathon and get hooked up with it to be the master of vibes in helping them with their social media?
Yeah, so after I ran the Seagull 6, I run a half marathon before that, and I had learned about the Cape Cod Marathon / half marathon. I was like, oh, I'm going to train and run the Cape Cod half marathon. And I did that. And then I also got sucked into doing a relay team, because if you're part of the Falmouth Running Club, you get to be part of one of the relay teams for free. And I was like, why don't I just do that? So I ran the half marathon on the Saturday, and then I ran the 7-mile leg on the Sunday. And when you're running the relay, you're running alongside all the people who are running the full marathon. Okay. Just like you are in any other like marathon relay. Yep. And I saw these people and I was like, I need to do that. I was like,
really?
I was like, I want to run that next year.
What do you think, if you can recall, what do you think it was that you saw in them that you were like, I want to do that?
I think I've just always been the person who's just like wanted to one up themselves. Like I reach a point and I can keep going. You know, I think I finished the half marathon and then I did the 7 miles the next day. And I was like, okay, if I could do that, I think I can train for that marathon. Fast forward to the next year where I ran the full marathon, and me texting my friend Emily, who had run multiple marathons, and me like crying and be like, how do you do this? This is horrible. And then I finished it and I was like, I'm doing it again. And that was the year so I remember specifically finishing the full marathon and like walking home and like feeling so proud of myself. Like I was exhausted.
Wait a minute. Clearly this town is small enough that you cross the finish line, you just walk home.
Well, that's the main reason I picked the marathon as my first one, because it was walking distance from my apartment.
That was the main
fantastic reason. That was like the only criteria. Which was like honestly the stupidest idea in the entire world, because like I have yet to run a marathon course that was as hard as the old Cape, because we've changed it since that point. That was 2018. The old Cape Cod Marathon course was absolutely brutal. I've run Boston twice. Like I've run ultra marathons. I've yet to find a road marathon that had such a challenging course as the old Cape Cod half marathon. A full marathon. I used to describe it as like there was like maybe like 6 miles of flat. The rest of it was like unforgiving rolling hills for all the rest of the 19 miles, in a way where like you reach Tom Landers Road, which was like 7 miles in, and you start swearing under your breath. And then you get to like mile 10, you're like, fuck. And then you get to like mile 19, you're like, and you hit the golf course hill, you're like, fuck. and then you still got like 6 miles of rolling hills left after that. And like, it's a rough, like if I want to, because I live in town and like I run on that course again, and I like, if I want to torture myself and I really feel like I got to get in some good hills, like I will take myself purposely on that course, and every time it kicks my ass.
That's
every time.
amazing.
And it's a wild time. So yeah, my only criteria was that it was walking distance from my apartment. Again, in retrospect, not the smartest idea, but it went okay. So that was good.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
but yeah, so and then I remember walking home, and I had heard about the Chowder Challenge, and I saw people who had finished the Chowder Challenge. I remember seeing this one guy who was just like, he was a little bit like older and on the bigger side of things. And I saw him and I was like, if he can do it, then I can do it. And then I had met someone who had done the Chowder Challenge through the running club. And I talked to this person. They were like, yeah, you can do it, Julianna. And so that's what I did the next year. I did the half marathon, and then I did the full marathon the next day. And I had a blast. That's actually where my marathon PR is from.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
So
I wonder why, because a lot of runners will have that same story in a way, right? Like, I want to challenge myself. I see somebody, they can do it, I can do it. Like, what do you think it is about us as runners where we seek the discomfort in the challenge, where in a lot of areas of life, most people are running away from discomfort and challenge?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. I think for me, it's just like that sense of accomplishment and me feeling like it's like I finished and I feel like I had something left to give. I just like, I don't know. I love feeling like I put in a lot of work. Like nothing hits better than like a nap after like a really long run or a marathon, and just like feeling completely drained at the end of some kind of long effort. For me, like it's not the speed for me. Like I like doing some of the speedy stuff a little bit, but like I don't really get the same high that I get when I push myself to the limit, like distance wise or like time wise.
Yeah, I've always said, like, for me personally, I just had this conversation. I'm more of a candle than a match. So I would prefer to run a 100-miler than a 5K. It's just, I would prefer that. And so I'm running my first road marathon in 14 years at Oakland. And I'm terribly nervous about it, because I'm like, this is back to a whole different world. Are there going to be, there's no tater tots at the aid stations, like at 100 milers, right?
Nope.
There's nobody who's going to be like looking at blisters on your feet. Can we help you while you sit in a chair? Right. And so there's a nervous component to it, but to your point, it's that challenge, right? I haven't done it in 14 years. Training is totally different. Racing is totally different. And
pacing is totally different.
Yes. Yeah. That's actually, that came up in the conversation, because I believe at 100-miler, and I can go out hard in a way, as hard as you can in a 100-miler.
Yeah.
Because you're going to end up walking at some point in that 100-miler anyway, unless you're uber elite. And so if you go from walking a 17-minute mile to a 17:05 because you went out a little too hard, it's not going to be much discernible difference in the long run.
No.
But at the marathon distance, that's just, if you go out too hard, you're going to look like me at the end of the last marathon I raced was the Las Vegas Marathon on the Strand. I got to mile 22, and like, I didn't feel like my body could move. The tears were flowing because I was in so much pain. And I'm like, so I think I have that also in my mind, like, holy shit, like, I don't want to experience that again either.
Yeah. I feel like too, with like the ultra marathon stuff, like you're kind of just going at like your like all day, everyday pace. Like you have the mindset of like, I'm just out here and I'm just doing my thing. And you're just kind of like, I just feel like it's more chill too, because you have to be more chill about it. You can't be like, unless you're an elite and you're actually competing for money, which honestly, like most trail races don't even have prize money. So like, whatever. I mean, I won a trail race last year and I got a stump. So like,
yeah, like even that I've tried to break 19 hours at the 100-mile distance, the fastest I've done is 19:12. But even then, you're walking. There's still a lot of walking and hiking, and you're going hard, but you're still doing a lot of that hiking and walking. So you have the time to recover in there. And so it's just that the marathon for me is kind of like the 5K component of this. Like it's just like, you got to be careful on it.
Yeah. I will say this too. I feel like, especially with road marathons, I've encountered this with my best running friend, Ben, because he like largely started running when he was in Vermont, and really like relishes in those like mountain ultras in like New Hampshire and Vermont. He ran his first road marathon 2 years ago and completely burned himself out by mile 10 because it was the Cape Cod Marathon. It's a largely flat course on our current course that we have right now. And so he's used to running mountain ultras where the course sets the pace for you. Like you can only like skedaddle up a mountain so fast.
That's great phrasing. You're 100% accurate.
Yeah. And so he was so used to the course setting the pace for him that he saw the flat road and just like blasted for the first like 10 miles. And then when he came through that finish line, he was not looking good. And I said, Benjamin, this is why you need to go to the Julianna's pacing school for reformed sprinters, you know? Because I'm like the person who like, I hit a pace and I can just like stick with it all day long. And like, I just keep cruising at the same pace.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a very competitive person either. So I'm just like, you know what? I'll catch him later. You know, that's usually how it works. And that's usually what happens because the person, whoever is like blazing past me, I end up catching him and I'm like, how you doing? Like, everything's going good on my end. You okay? Okay, great. Keep going. But he just has no sense of like, at that point, he's gotten better. No sense of like pacing when it comes to like having the open road and not having giant mountains to be able to be like, well, my friend, you're only going at a 30-minute pace on this mountain because the incline is like almost 90 degrees. Yep. So just chill.
I paced in 2025 at the Vermont 100 and I had such a great time out there. It's honestly, for those of you that are considering doing your first 100-miler, that's the place to go. That's a great one. The support was fantastic. The course is uber well marked. There's a lot of farm road on the course that so it's fairly wide and you can run it. Like I had such a great time. And the RD is one of the nicest people I've met in the 19 years I've done this sport, these sports. And they have a great component for visually impaired athletes. Like they're super welcoming, inclusive, and diverse. And I met a member of our Everyday Athlete Clubhouse, Allison O'Reilly. This is an interesting story. I met her at one of the aid stations because another person who I had interviewed for our show was pacing her. And one Allison was like, oh, so good to see you. And she mentioned, you should meet my friend Allison. Well, her friend Allison happened to be in the porta potty while we were talking. And so like Allison's now talking out of the porta potty. She's here what's going on. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I'll put that in my back pocket.
Yeah, I would absolutely recommend that race. It is really well done. And it's all on, it's all farms. I guess they work with the farmers. Yeah, they have agreements with farmers. And so it's really, really pretty. It's absolutely a great race.
Okay. I've yet to complete a 100-miler. I've yet to complete a 50-miler yet. I'm working on that. Hopefully my goal is, I'm on the wait list, but the director, Rob, who seems like a good guy, I'm for Ghost Train. That's that 30-hour one that they do. So they just count, it's on a kind of like a rolling bike path up in New Hampshire, in Nashua, New Hampshire. But my goal is to just hit 60 miles because you have to do it in increments of 15. So if I can hit 60, that'd be great. So
it's like a 15-mile loop that you come back through around?
7.5 mile out and back. So you're doing like out and backs, and there's like aid stations, like I think like every like 3 or 4 miles pretty much. And you can set up camp at the starting area. And we have a couple of people in Falmouth who are going to be running it too. It's a very popular ultra up here in like the New England area. They usually sell out every single year, and they did this year too. That's why I'm on the wait list, because I wasn't one of the first like people on 15 minutes when it opened up. So hopefully be doing that. If not, I have a 50K that I signed up for, or I'll just do both. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Do you have races on a bucket list, like things you'd like to do? Not necessarily you have to do, but you'd like to do.
I mean, I like for marathon wise, I would like to go run the Sydney Marathon. I think that would be really cool. I like distance. I think just distance wise, I know like as soon as I get to like certain, like as soon as I get to 50 miles, I'll be like, I'm going to do the 100K. And then I'll be like, I'm going to do a 100-mile. Eventually I would like to do the Javelina 100, because that's like my vibe right there. A bunch of silly people dressing up in costumes, like competing for like best ass and like all these other weird categories, like in the middle of the race. Like this is my vibe. And I would like eventually, hopefully, like to do the Cocodona 250. Like that's on my bucket list. That's like way out because I have to find a crew. That's the problem with that one, is that like Javelina is 20-mile loops, so you can
Yep.
easily like crew yourself and just kind of rely on the aid stations.
Yep.
Whereas Cocodona is a point to point, so I would have to find a crew for that, and that's kind of like my big hang up right now.
I've done both.
Oh, you have? Okay.
So I DNF'd Javelina this past year. I DNF'd at mile 52. So the reality is, make sure you're drinking way more than you think you need.
Yeah, because
that's
hot.
yeah, it's hot. That's the issue I ran into. I had like pain in my kidneys and I hadn't peed in like 12 hours or something. And I was like, I'm not risking this.
No. Yeah, don't die.
Yeah. And I did the inaugural Cocodona in 2021, the first year they ever had it.
Okay.
So if you need tips, tricks, ideas, I'm more than happy to provide them all to you. It's an experience. There's no doubt about it. It is an absolute experience.
Yeah.
I remember we went into it, a friend of mine and we were like, we could probably finish this in like 72 to 80 hours. Like the idea of running 100 milers, right? We've broken 20 hours at 100 milers. We could do this. And like within the first 50K, we were off. I think the math was like 17 hours. Like we were so far off. And I was like, well, guess it's time to bring in the hiking sticks as much as possible, run when you can, and really just enjoy the time with your crew and the people around you. And it was a hell of an experience. There's no doubt about it.
I feel like that's kind of like how people like hike the Appalachian Trail. I feel like it's like the runner's version of that, where like you're traveling a very long distance and it's more of an adventure than it is anything else. And like you're just going from point to point to experience whatever that is. And like whatever the time is, hopefully you can finish it under the time restraints that they've set. And you can like meet the cutoff times. I remember last year I was watching Cocodona and they were tracked because they've gotten really good with their drone coverage. Aravaipa, I think, does Aravaipa have Cocodona too? Okay, that's what I thought. Because Aravaipa has the White Mountain Endurance as well too, which is up here in New Hampshire. But they have great coverage of like all their races, and they're only getting better. But they had a drone on the person who was like DFL, and at that point, and he was going like 1.2 miles an hour, and I was like, I feel like our friend is not going to make it. I feel so bad.
Became a good movie.
Yeah, I was like, they were like, yeah, he's going like 1 mile an hour. I was like, this could be one of us too. This could be anyone.
I paced at Tahoe 200 a couple of years ago, and that was a great experience. Beautiful area. So for people who are interested in doing 200 milers, that's a gorgeous area. And I paced at Moab 240 that same year, and it's beautiful. It is isolated and desolate out there. I don't like at Tahoe, you felt like there were people around you. At Cocodona, you felt like there were people around you. At Moab, you just felt like you were just out in the middle of nowhere, and there was like nothing near you. Like you had to pay attention to everything. Like because the flagging, like you could easily miss stuff. Whereas at like Cocodona and Tahoe, I never felt like we would miss things. Because there was just stuff around you. But at Moab, like you're out in the desert basically. You got to pay attention to that stuff.
I feel like some of those races too, there's just like enough. Like I was watching Black Canyon, and there's like even like the 100K, there's enough people who run that race where there's like, and it's like everything is low enough to the ground. It's not like here in New England where like the trees are like really, really tall, and like someone can be like 100 feet in front of you, but you're never going to see them. Or when I'm trail running with Ben, like he can be like 50 feet in front of me and I've already lost him because the trees are just like.
I raced Black Canyon in 2019, I think 2020, somewhere in that vicinity. And never do you feel like you're alone on that course.
Yeah.
You're either somebody's catching you and passing you, or you're catching somebody and passing somebody. Yeah. There's always people around you on that course.
Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list too. Hopefully next year I'll actually be going out to Tahoe this year I got an invitation to do it, but I can't afford it right now. But go to run. There's this, there's an adaptive athletes group called Born to Adapt.
Yes. Zach Friedley.
Yes, Zach I don't know him personally, but I did get an invitation to go run Broken Arrow with them this year. Because I have a lot of chronic medical conditions that definitely qualify me for being part of the adaptive athletes crew, which is great. But I just couldn't afford the price this year. So hopefully next year I'll be going out as an adaptive athlete and I'll get to go run.
We had a Broken Arrow, from what I've heard, and I've had friends do it, is phenomenal. It's also on like the to-do list for me as well. We had Zach on our Enduring Minds podcast last year. What a tremendous person. I learned so much from him during that conversation. And one of the things that he brought up was when he was registering for the New York City Marathon, when he clicked on a button of some sort and it said disabled. And he was like, this is the first time that it was explicitly said on a registration, disabled. And so that's how like sort of Born to Adapt came to be, because he was like, if we're calling trail running the most accessible and the most inclusive, then we need to be the most accessible and the most inclusive and add that in there. Super cool guy. And so for anybody who's listening or watching this, go check out the Enduring Minds podcast with Zach Friedley, because we had a great conversation with him.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude. I've also so this coming year, in 2027, I'm going to be taking over the Cape Cod Trail Race, which is our local trail race. And I have changed like everything in there. Like we have a whole adaptive athletes form we're offering. So if anyone is listening to this and you want to come run the Cape Cod Trail Race in 2026 or 2027, we are giving free entry to anyone who's an adaptive athlete.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we're trying. It's same thing for the Cape Cod Marathon too. Or if you are a duo or a push rim athlete or any format of an adaptive athlete, you can get a free entry into the Cape Cod Marathon as well too. We are trying to expand our push rim and wheelchair divisions. We are trying to expand our adaptive divisions. So if you would like to come run the Cape Cod Marathon or the Cape Cod Trail Race or any of our other local races here in Falmouth, the Falmouth Running Club puts on, please just email me and let me know. We'll get you a free entry. And I also created like a whole form so that way people can like fill it out like discreetly, letting us know like, hey, this is what I need. These are the adaptations that I need, and giving them that option like in the drop down box to be like, I identify as disabled and here is like the category that I fall into, and here are the needs that I need met. Just because myself personally, like I have Ehlers-Danlos and I also have ankylosing spondylitis, and I have
so does my wife.
Yeah, it's not the funnest. And I have hip dysplasia too, amongst like other things too. So like I'll just like randomly lose control of my legs, or like something will just like cramp up, and like I can be halfway through a race and then all of a sudden like I just can't control my left leg for some reason. And I'm just like, okay, we gotta walk it out, friends, for a little bit. Like I fully lost the ability to bring my knee up to my chest, and that's a problem if we're walking up the hill. So but like as someone who like has like issues like that, like I totally like stand behind and like want to be part of not only bringing like more disabled athletes and people with disabilities into the running scene, the trail running scene, especially like female like athletes who identify as having disabilities into the trail running scene. Like we are in the vast minority.
Yes, very much so.
And so like that's part of me taking over the Cape Cod Trail Race too, is like I want to like bring more people like myself into the trail running scene in general.
One of the things that we've been thinking about, because as I said, we're racing the Oakland Marathon as our run club tour, and I went on their site to register, and I clicked the drop down for gender, and it had male, female, non-binary, and I was like, this is amazing. And then underneath that, they had options for disabled athletes, and I was like, this is really cool. And I posted about it on Threads, and one of our community members, Karen Pruitt, whose son Caleb has Down syndrome, she said, I wonder if they would do something for IDD. And so I emailed the Oakland Marathon and I said, hey, I just posted this. One of our club members said something, and they were like, can you connect us? Because I'd like to do more. Like immediately was the response. Which was amazing to me. And so I connected the Oakland Marathon with Karen Pruitt, and then I connected the Oakland Marathon with Allison O'Reilly, who I told you about, because she's visually impaired. And so they connected with those two athletes to see how they can make their race more inclusive. So I love what you're doing. And what we're thinking about doing is sort of creating sort of like this everyday athlete clubhouse badge for races that are approved, because our whole ethos is to prove that there is a spot at the starting line for everybody and every body. And so we're like how can we make this sort of like a thing where we have an EAC badge where races have drop downs for non-gender or non-binary athletes, excuse me, and not just say that they do, but actually have awards for non-binary athletes and do things for disabled athletes or IDD and all of that kind of stuff. So I love what you're doing. Like that is putting a huge smile on my heart on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah, I mean, so we like the Cape Cod Marathon largely, we've been trying to be as inclusive as possible. We've had a non-binary category that gets the same prize money for years now. And like we also like work with there's a school on the Cape that called the Riverview School that is specifically for people with developmental challenges, like generally severe developmental challenges. They come and they run the relay every year. And we try to include them as much as possible in any conversations that we're having. And also like the Cape Cod Trail Race, I'm actually partnering us up with a local organization called Pride on Foot, which is like they kind of just audit your race and make sure that you're meeting the guidelines for being like a queer LGBTQIA plus friendly race. You're offering the same prize money / prizes. I mean, for the Cape Cod Trail Race, everyone just gets a hand painted shell. There's no actual prize money. Again, we come back to the trail race prizes.
Yes.
But everyone is equal. Everyone gets the same. And we have, we're doing buffs this year. So we have a gender neutral gift for everyone, and everyone gets the same exact thing across the board, no matter who you are. You can identify as whoever you want in our like DMV, non-binary, whatever categories. So we're trying to like be as inclusive as physically possible. Also partnering with like the Trail Sisters group, which is really wonderful, and they do a lot of great work for us female identifying people out there. So my whole like ethos is like, again, like what you're saying, like making it as inclusive and making sure everybody has a place at the starting line, no matter who you are, no matter how able-bodied, unable-bodied, like whatever your mental, physical state, however you identify, you are welcome here. We'd love to have you. And again, too, if you are someone who is identifies as being a athlete with disabilities, please reach out to me. And you want to run the Cape Cod Marathon or the Cape Cod Trail Race, please let me know. I would love to have you.
Cape Cod Marathon.
Yeah, come. You can run any distance that you want.
When is the Cape Cod Marathon?
It is Indigenous Peoples Weekend, so I believe it's the 11th and the 10th and the 11th of October this year. And we have the half marathon, the 5K, the full marathon, the relay. I would love to see like a push rim like relay team, or like a whole relay team of like athletes with disabilities. That would make me smile so much. You would get the biggest shout out from me at the finish line.
So we just recently interviewed Scott Davidson on the Enduring Minds podcast, and
would he like to come run?
I'm going to ask him. I will ask him, because he also has an organization that is with disabled athletes. And since you already have Born to Adapt, I will connect. I will see if Scott has a team of people that might be interested in doing this and connect you to as well. And then the trail race. When is the trail race?
The trail race is April 8th, I believe.
Okay.
And then next year we'll get the date for you after that for the 2027. But the registration is still open, and there's a 10K distance, a 20K distance, and a 30K distance, and it's just loops of a 10K course. I will say the trail race is probably not, at this point, it's not like wheelchair safe. Right. It's very like narrow single track. So if you don't feel comfortable on that, that would maybe not be your venue, but like the Cape Cod Marathon is on an open road. So we're more than happy to have you there. And again, you can pick any distance that you want. And we're happy to get you a free entry to any of those distances.
Very cool. I know we're bumping up on time right now. You have another place to go. So I will ask you just really quick questions that are food related so that we can close out the show. Candy corn. Is candy corn a real candy, or is it earwax covered in sugar?
I'm going to say earwax covered in sugar, honestly, unless I will make a special exception for the pumpkins. The pumpkins are candy, even though it's the same thing. The pumpkins just in my brain taste better than the candy corn, and like the pumpkins are like the goat of candy corn, but everything else is just earwax.
Is red velvet cake a real flavor, or is it just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom?
Just chocolate cake dressed up to go to the prom. That's what it is.
Twix, left or right?
I'm gonna have to go right because I'm right-handed. I never actually thought about that. I don't even know. Like, I don't think there's a method. It's kind of like eating a Kit Kat bar. You're kind of just like, unless you're a monster and you just like bite into a Kit Kat bar.
So there is a 7-Eleven right across the street from our apartment, and it has a Japanese section. So I've been eating
Kit Kats.
Raspberry, orange, and strawberry Kit Kats, and I don't know that I can go back to a normal tasting Kit Kat ever again.
When I went to Japan, I bought a ton of different Kit Kats, and they had like milk bubble tea and like green tea.
So good.
That was like one of my like gifts that I brought back for people too, because obviously the packaging is fully in Japanese as well too.
Yes.
And so people were like, whoa, they make like milk tea flavored Kit Kats. I was like, my friend, they had like every single flavor of Kit Kat. Yeah. Have you been to a Don Quixote? I don't think so.
Your favorite non-chocolate candy is?
Oh, I don't. I mean, I'm a big bubblegum fan. That's not really a candy, but I will say the everlasting gobstoppers from Wonka. Those have been like, that was always my like go-to as a kid when we had movies like candy snack. I will also like, oh no, that's a chocolate. I was gonna say like unsung hero of chocolates, the nonpareils. Like,
yes, my mother loved them. I grew up with those things.
I fucking love nonpareils.
That between nonpareils and junior mints, they were always in my house because they were my mother's two favorite candies.
That has to be like the boomer mom like repertoire of candies right there, because that's like my mom's too. Junior mints, peppermint patties, and nonpareils.
Yes, 100%. All right, let's stay in that vicinity because there's an aunt or a grandmother in your family that has a bowl of candy, and in there is usually the mint. That's the swirl mint. There's usually a butterscotch, and there's usually that strawberry. Hard candy with the strawberry center. Which one are you taking?
I actually really love butter, but what is it? Butter. What's the orange one? Butterscotch. I was gonna say buttermint. Butterscotch. I love butterscotch.
Me
like
too.
I've like on many occasions bought butterscotch candies for myself. Like not in irony in any capacity. Like if I can find some good ones, like I'm having a nice time.
Well, Julianna,
the strawberry ones are kind of weird though.
Yeah, nobody ever picks those, by the way, in this question. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I will be in touch with you. I'm going to talk to Scott Davidson, and we're going to put the Cape Cod Marathon under consideration for the 2027 Run Club Tour based on the conversation that we had, because it seems like it would be a blast to be a part of. Yeah, and if you come run it, and I know who you are, you get announced as a legend. Fantastic. That's all I need in my life, is to be considered a legend at anything. That's how it works. If I know you get, or you ask for a shout out, you get announced as a legend, or if you're a local, you get announced as a local legend, you know. Perfect. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, it was nice to be here, Jason. Bye. Okay. For those of you that stuck around for the hour for our fireside chat, thank you so much. Time is the greatest gift that you can give to somebody, and you gave Julianna and I the gift of your time. So thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform. Join us next week as Ashley Mateo, the founder of Runnah Magazine, will be joining us on the show, and we will get into print, because as you know, Run Try Bike started in print. We'll get into how coverage of women's running needs to improve and what Ashley and her team are doing to do that. And we'll get into all kinds of other good stuff. Appreciate your time. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and comment the Everyday Athlete Podcast Network on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. We'll see you.